Few ever make it this far south. Volcanoes loom over cities. Forests hum with ancient life. Islands most people never reach. This is Kagoshima, where the mainland dissolves into sea and myth. I've been coming back here for years, chasing that feeling across land, sea, and sky. And somehow, I always end up here. But this time is different, because the city is just the beginning. This time, we're going even further. From the samurai streets of Chiran, to the steaming shores of Ibusuki, the ancient forests of Yakushima, and the remote island of Amami Oshima. This is Japan's deep south. Most people never see it, and that's exactly why we're here. You can't talk about Kagoshima without Sakurajima, an active volcano, always present, always watching. For all the destruction it's unleashed, that same force is the reason this region exists at all, and its reach stretches far beyond the city limits. Air feels warmer here, the pace more relaxed. And history here isn't confined to museums, it's part of everyday life. We'll start in the middle of it all, then cross the bay to meet the volcano up close, before venturing further from the mainland. But like most journeys into Kagoshima, ours begins at the station. Kagoshima Chuo Station is the last stop on the Shinkansen line, the gateway to the region, and a destination of its own. Head up to the top floor to catch one of the best views in Kagoshima. 36 gondolas circle above the city, including 2 entirely made of glass for unobstructed views. We are super high up. I'm actually kind of scared of heights, so I don't know why I do this to myself. For 500 yen, you get 15 minutes suspended 91 meters above the city. That's 26 stories of view stretching beneath you. From up here, we can already see where we're heading next. At the heart of Kagoshima is Tenmonkan, the biggest shopping district in southern Kyushu. By day, it's made for wandering. By night, it's an entertainment hub. If you're chasing food, this is where you start. Some of the best meals in the city hide in these alleys, from local specialties to treats brought in from all over Japan. There's always something happening here. It doesn't take long for something to pull you in. Tenmonkan gives you something to celebrate, no matter the season. Once you've had your fill, you don't have to walk far to slow things down. Chuo Park is a quiet pocket of history, layered with stories from different eras. You'll find notable figures here, like Saigo Takamori, often remembered as the last samurai, alongside Komatsu Tatewaki, another key figure who helped shape Japan's transition into the modern age. And a rare Taisho-era building, one that survived the wartime air raids, still holds its ground. At the park's edge, the massive Terakuni Shrine is hard to miss, and behind it, a pathway that leads to one of the best lookouts in the city. But it's no walk in the park. But halfway up, you get a tease of what's waiting for you. Keep going, it only gets better. At the top, Shiroyama Park opens into one of Japan's most underrated views, a striking reminder of how closely Kagoshima lives with nature. It's a view that never gets old. From dusk till dawn, it feels different every time. Crowds come and go, but sometimes it's all yours. Let's head back down and grab some lunch, and I know just the spot. This place might just be my favorite conveyor belt sushi. A local favorite, serving up fresh plates, fast service, and prices that will make you grin. Everyone else knows it too, because the place is always packed. The first time I came, I couldn't even get a seat, and that's just for one person. So go early or be ready to wait, but it's absolutely worth it. Now that we're fueled, it's time we finally meet the volcano we've been staring at all day. Across the road, Sakurajima Ferry Terminal will take us straight there. The ferry runs 24 hours a day. It's cheap, simple, and one of the most scenic rides you could take. The only downside, it's only 15 minutes, so enjoy it while it lasts. If you're not renting a car, you'll be relying on the View Bus that circles around the island every 30 minutes.
Thank you for using the Sakurajima Island View Bus. This area is called...
Dropping you off at different points around the volcano. At times, you do feel a bit stranded until the next bus arrives, but that's part of the adventure. The most popular stop has to be the Yunohira observation point. It's the closest you could get to the active crater. It's pretty impressive and a little unsettling. Overall, it's worth a visit, but if you're short on time, the best view of Sakurajima is from afar. But there's still one more spot we'll see before we leave the city. We'll walk north along the bay, towards one of Kagoshima's most popular and historic places. Before you reach it, you'll pass by Iso Beach. It's peaceful, at least this time of year. It's not so much the beach itself that pulls you in, but the unobstructed views of Sakurajima, stretching across the water. It's also just steps away from our final stop in the city that brings everything together. Built in 1658 as the residence of the Shimazu clan, one of Japan's most influential samurai families for more than 700 years. Each November, the estate transforms for the Chrysanthemum Festival, rows of yellow flowers meticulously displayed, symbolizing honor and celebration. But the real highlight is the residence itself. It wasn't just a home, but a command center of a dynasty. Walking through these narrow halls, you follow the footsteps of leaders who guided Japan through isolation, conflict, and modernization. The Shimazu clan were early adopters of Western influence, blending Japanese design with European ideas. Getting ideas for my dream home. This is pretty close. And their legacy reaches far beyond this estate, into the mountains, coasts, and islands waiting ahead. We've explored the city, crossed the bay, and walked through Kagoshima's stories, but now it's time we leave the city behind to head south, to a place most people hear about, but never witness. I almost skipped it, and I'm glad I didn't, because what waits there adds a depth to this journey I didn't expect. Chiran is a peaceful countryside with a heavy history, once the final stop for hundreds of kamikaze pilots during World War II. Just inside the entrance sits a single fighter that crashed off Kagoshima in 1945. It spent 35 years underwater before being recovered. Scarred but intact, a haunting relic of Japan's wartime past. What remains isn't just steel and wreckage, it's what was left behind. A bronze statue shows a mother gazing at a kamikaze pilot. On the back, it reads, "Mother and son will be together, forever in peace." It's moments like these, captured just hours before their final goodbyes. Here, the past doesn't feel distant. It hits a little too close. It's difficult to describe the weight of this place, but it stays with you. And I didn't know it yet, but this story wasn't finished. Chiran isn't defined by one history. Just down the road, a much older world waits. On the way, the town slips between eras. Edo period homes beside retro storefronts. Some preserved as landmarks, while others slowly fading as nature reclaims them. It feels atmospheric, but then you remember, these aren't sets or props. They were real homes, real businesses, and it's hard not to feel something. Food options here are limited. There is a small okonomiyaki cafe that's easy to miss if you're not looking for it. A savory Japanese pancake, grilled fresh and loaded with toppings, somehow huge in proportion, yet light at the same time, and exactly what I needed to keep going. Our final stop here is just down the road, where we step 200 years back in time. This is Chiran's samurai district, 700 meters of narrow streets lined with former samurai homes, each one built like a small fortress, stone walls, perfectly trimmed hedges, designed so intruders could be watched, without ever seeing who was watching. Behind these walls are gardens that feel like separate worlds. Some homes are still lived in, while others quietly open as small museums, moving from one home to another, never quite sure what you'll find behind them. And it was here I learned something I didn't expect. During the war, young pilots came to these same gardens to find a moment of calm before their final missions. I almost skipped Chiran, and maybe that's why it hit as hard as it did. I only stayed for a night, but that was enough for a lifelong memory. From here, our story continues, further south, where the land begins to fade. We've arrived at the edge of Japan, a quiet seaside town where time moves with the tide. Here, the ground itself feels alive. This marks the halfway point of our journey, the southern shores of Ibusuki. We'll follow the coastline, climb the Fuji of the south, and wander through farmlands all the way to the sea. I thought this would be the relaxing part of the trip, but it turned into one of the biggest adventures yet. Ibusuki has a retro charm, like Japan paused somewhere between the 70s and 80s. A subtropical town that's half resort and the other half seemingly forgotten by time. But people still come here for something you can't find anywhere else. Relaxation here means being buried alive in volcanic sand. The same geothermal energy that fuels all of Kagoshima heats the beach from below. Filming isn't allowed, but it goes something like this. You lie down in a shallow pit. Locals then shovel hot, heavy sand over your body, until only your face remains. For 10 minutes, you start to feel your blood circulate. I could feel my heartbeat pulsating in my hands and feet. It's a strange sensation, but I get it. Trust me on this one. They're trying to market Ibusuki as the Hawaii of Japan. Personally, I don't really see it, but it's got a charm of its own. Also, the town seems to have an obsession with the Pokemon Eevee. That's because the Japanese name for Eevee is Ibui, and ski means to like. Put them together and you get Ibusuki. So naturally, it's the town's mascot. Upstairs, we could see the offshore island we're heading towards before we venture out of town. But what I didn't expect was a welcome party. And this little slice of happiness. Took everything in me to leave them behind, but there's still so much more waiting for us. The coastline feels untouched, but the war left its mark here as well. The Ibusuki Naval Air Base Memorial marks the spot where 82 young pilots once launched on one-way missions. The Goddess of Mercy watches over them. It's hard to imagine bombs once hit this coastline, until you see the cliffs nearby, still scarred from the explosions from 1945. At the end of the path is Chiran, a small island just off the coast. At low tide, a sandbar rises from the sea and connects it to the mainland. They call it the Path of Connection, or the Island of Love, just not for me in November. The sandbar that links the island to the mainland only appears from March to October. Guess it wasn't meant to be, but we'll make another connection, one that takes us even deeper into the countryside.
まもなく列車が参ります。危ないですから黄色い線の内側へお下がりください。
This is Nishioyama, an unmanned station at the edge of the rail map. With postcard views of Mount Kaimon, rising behind fields of green. It's become a small tourist attraction in itself, complete with gift shops and even a lucky postbox. Most people just come for a few photos, then leave, but I wanted more than a postcard. I wanted to see the mountain up close. And somehow, that turned into a climb.
Yeah, not really sure what to expect. You know, with these kind of things, it's, oh shit. I'm gonna keep walking up this hill. Hopefully it pays off. If not, then whatever. It's an experience either way. This is a really intense incline. There's a bunch of signs saying it takes like 5 hours to complete, 3 to climb, 2 to get down. Given that it's like 1, 2 something, it's probably not gonna happen, so I'm just gonna climb until I find the nearest sort of lookout, and then I'll probably head back. Anyways, wish me luck.
And so it begins. We've come this far. What's a little more? Problem is, the view just keeps getting better. And as usual, my curiosity gets the best of me.
Oh gosh, we're going up again. Okay, I'm literally climbing on top of these rocks. Oh, there's a rock I could step on. Oh, look at that. Sometimes it just takes a different perspective to see things. Oh my gosh. Oh, look at that. It's getting a little less bright. It's a bit worrisome. Hopefully it's just the cloud blocking. I don't want to be hiking down this in the dark. Okay, let's do this. At this point, how much higher could you? When the view looks like a map, that's when you know you're ridiculously high up in the air. You could literally see Kagoshima and Sakurajima. That's an 1.5 to 2 hour train ride to get to that city, and you could see it.
I could use a bit of luck to make it to the top and back again.
I think we're almost there, y'all. Oh my god. Look at that.
The coastline we've been following for days spread out beneath me. Down there, navigating felt complicated, but up here, everything made sense. Maybe the real reward wasn't the view, it's the moments you doubt yourself and keep going anyway. The mountain taught me a lesson, and this was the reward.
Just an hour ago, I was freezing in the station. There's literally nothing around there except the vending machines. And now here I am in this like warm, cozy environment. I have an open fire with incredible Kagoshima beef. Wow.
The day was nothing short of epic, but Ibusuki keeps finding new ways to surprise me.
I'm thinking about just riding along the coast. I don't have anything else planned, and yeah, I want to check out a few spots along the way, so let's do it.
The perks of booking a last-minute Airbnb: free bikes. But they're old, noisy, and definitely not built for this. So naturally, I took one as far as I could go. And somehow, ending back up at Nishioyama Station again. What had felt far by train suddenly felt reachable. So, I pushed even further south, towards the edge of Ibusuki. The bike creaked the whole way, but it never quit. Before reaching the tip of the peninsula, we'll make one last stop. To Flower Park, Kagoshima.
I think I took a wrong turn.
A massive garden home to over 500,000 plants and more than 2,400 varieties from around the world.
Let's see here.
It's laid out like a botanical theme park with exhibits scattered across the grounds. It felt like an off-season, with hardly any blooms and almost no one around.
It's pretty quiet here. I'm one of the only few people at this park. Got some flowers popping up here and there.
But it wasn't the flowers that stayed with me. It's these views. The coastline stretching out below, the same roads I'd been biking along just hours earlier. With light fading, we race the sun towards the edge of the peninsula. We've reached the southern edge of Satsuma, a full circle moment. Leaving Ibusuki felt bittersweet, but the horizon kept pulling me in. The next chapter was waiting out there, beyond the horizon. My goal was simple: walk through Yakushima's legendary moss forests. But there is a problem. I just had one day to do it. It takes about 2 hours to reach Yakushima, a forest island off Japan's southern coast, home to some of the oldest trees on Earth. I managed to secure just 2 nights, not ideal for a place like this, but it was either that or never knowing if I'd return. Getting here takes planning, and once you're on the island, there's little room to improvise.
Yeah, lugging, 50 pounds plus between the backpack and this briefcase. I'm not trying to figure out the whole bus thing right now, and I'm almost at the hotel. Then yeah, just getting started with my day right away. I'm gonna try to take advantage of this good weather as much as possible before the rain tomorrow. So I'll see you there.
Now the pressure was on. No room for mistakes.
I missed the bus that goes up here by 8 minutes. So ultimately, I decided to take matters into my own hands, and I'm back on the bike. Except this time, it's electric.
Which meant to reach the forest trailhead, there was only one option left. 6 miles uphill on steep mountain roads.
I guess the perks of doing that is I get to stop along the way and just take in all the scenery.
And after coming all this way, quitting wasn't an option.
I think I'm finally at the top. Yeah, this is no joke, y'all. I'm down to 40% battery, which is slightly concerning.
What should have been a 15-minute bus ride turned into an hour uphill battle. But I made it.
The guy at the entrance counter said the whole thing would take about 3 hours. Just pretty intensive. For me, if I keep up my pace, who knows, maybe I could do it in 2. But yeah, if I end up taking lots of videos, for sure 3. Okay, gotta go.
Places like this are rare in Japan. A forest growing for thousands of years. That's why the moss thrives here, and why one careless step can undo decades.
And I just stepped in a pile of mud to position this camera.
This is the Shiratani Gorge, one of Yakushima's most well-known spots. Most people make it this far. I didn't plan for what came after the gorge, but the trail didn't stop there. Past this point, the forest takes over.
Don't know how much longer is left in this hike. I think this is one of the last remaining segments. Oh my my gosh, it just keeps going up. Okay, now I see the light. Finally.
Drum Rock, a massive granite boulder perched above the valley. Between every misstep and chaotic decision, somehow it led to something beautiful. But at this time of day, you're not really watching the sunset. You're staring straight into it.
But nevertheless, still quite special. Maybe next time we come earlier in the day so we're not staring at the sun. Lesson learned.
Given the limited hotel options, this place was a pleasant surprise. Dinner and breakfast are included, and a tiny card with my name. Close enough. Staying in a ryokan is a must in Japan, and the perfect way to wind down after a long day. It's also one of the easiest ways to feel immersed. Seasonal local dishes from the region, beautifully presented, even if I don't always know what half of it is. And little did I know, this would be my last moment of calm.
I managed to find some shelter. Oh my gosh, I look like a mess. There's not much I can do. I biked all the way out here to the peninsula, and I'm right next to the coastline, but there's just no shelter around to protect the equipment, and I just don't want to risk it. I tried my best to make the most of it, and I'll see you later.
Out here, the rain isn't a setback. It's the reason this place exists. Spending just 2 days here probably was one of the worst itineraries I've planned, but I don't regret any of it. One clear day was enough to know I'll be back. But there's still one last island waiting, the final chapter of our Kagoshima journey, a place most travelers never even hear about. Further south is an island somewhere between Japan and Okinawa, Amami Oshima, the largest island in Kagoshima Prefecture. Not quite mainland Japan, not quite Okinawa, but that in-between identity is exactly why it pulls you in. The heart of Amami City, a compact port city wrapped around the harbor. For somewhere this remote, it's got everything you need. Cozy cafes, family-run restaurants, where everyone knows everyone. There's a real sense of community here, something you could feel, even as a passing traveler. Amami is known for its nature, and for one creature in particular. Near the town center is a place you can't really prepare for. It starts off quirky, then slowly gets stranger. Rows of glass jars with preserved snakes and creatures, part museum, part nightmare fuel. This is a habu, a venomous snake native to Amami's subtropical forests. But it doesn't just live in the jungle, it lives alongside people. Luckily, attacks are rare. For decades, people were so afraid of the habu that they avoided the forest altogether. Ironically, that fear helped preserve Amami's biodiversity. One of the best examples of that preserved nature is Kinsakubaru. Old-growth forest you can only enter with a certified guide. My guide didn't speak much English, but he didn't really need to. pointed out the tiny things I would have missed on my own. And he's also quite the photographer. Thankfully, we didn't meet any habu in their natural home, and let's hope we don't for the remainder of this trip. But now, we'll trade this forest for one that grows in the water. There's a few stops on the map that's caught my eye, like this strange little pocket of forest that feels almost off limits. This is the rare habitat of the Moldama plant, a type of wild beans with twisted, spring-like vines curling in every direction. Amami is one of the last places it grows naturally. At night, people say you might spot the island's black rabbit here, found only on this island and Tokunoshima. I didn't manage to see it myself, but what I did witness was something otherworldly. This might just be the only ET statue in Japan, if not the world. So random, I had to see it to believe it. And it's not just ET you'll find. There's other characters scattered around here too. Completely unexpected, yet somehow fits the island's energy perfectly. Leaving the statues behind, we head to one of Japan's largest mangrove forests, a living maze where river, tide, and jungle all meet, home to species found nowhere else. I joined a tour recommended by a few locals, one that lets you get right up close to nature. The main attraction here, of course, is the mangroves themselves.
Pure mangrove tree.
I'll admit, I didn't know much about them before this. They're trees that line the riverbanks, revealing their roots as the tide shifts, creating the illusion that you're almost gliding across the forest floor. In the low tide, which is right now, you can actually see the roots, and that will just raise, you can actually see the water level on them. Low tide is the best time to see them, but it does get shallow fast without you realizing. Hi! So that's the tour guide telling me to come back. And now, the tide carries us towards our next stop, something you'll only truly find here. From the mangroves, we head north to a craft passed down for more than 1,000 years. Oshima Tsumugi is the last place in Japan still making Amami's traditional silk, a process so intricate it could take over a year and more than 500 steps to create a single bolt of fabric. First, the threads are soaked in a tree bark dye, made by boiling down the tree's wood. The dye fills the silk with tannins, giving it a warm reddish-brown color. Next, the threads are taken into the mud fields, where the iron in the mud reacts with those tannins, slowly turning the silk into a deep, glossy black. They're then hung up to dry, allowing the color to settle and deepen in the air. That cycle is repeated 4, 8, 20, even as much as 80 times, creating variations of color through repetition and time. Next comes binding, done on a loom called the shimebata. Using detailed pattern drawings as a guide, threads are carefully bound to resist dye, deciding exactly where the pattern will appear. After binding, color is added again, not by dipping, but by rubbing. A dye mixed with starch is worked deep into the silk by hand, then dried, steamed, and washed. to fix the color in place.
どうぞ。
Finally, the fabric is woven on the Takabata high loom. Every few centimeters, the weaver stops, loosens the tension, and adjusts the pattern by hand using needles. Every thread is dyed with extreme precision, aligning them perfectly, thread by thread, is what allows the pattern to emerge.
綺麗。
Thousands of fine silk threads matched and woven just a few centimeters at a time. The result? Garments sold for eye-watering prices, often in the thousands. But after seeing the time, care, and craft that's involved, it's easy to understand why. And I can only dream of wearing one myself someday. Outside of the village is a sleepy surf town that sits right alongside the coast. This isn't just another pretty beach. Tebiro Beach is one of Amami's top surf spots, drawing riders from all over Japan. Not what I was expecting to find out here, but maybe that's the point. The best places are the ones worth the extra step. And now, there's another place calling. Farther from the mainland, deeper into the islands, where the journey shifts into something entirely different. But that's a story for next time.